everybody, it's Emily at Arrrgh Schooling, and today I want to talk about the books we read this year for the Arrrgh Booked Book Club and rank them. We read 10 books in 2023, and I'm going to try to rank them for you today. But it's going to be hard. I haven't even looked at the stack yet to kind of work this out, so this is all going to be like happening here live in this video. So let's start. I'm just going to run through all the books we read. In January, we read A Scatter of Light by Melinda Lowe. In February, we read Take My Hand by Dolen Perkins Valdez. In March, we read The German Wife by Kelly Rimmer. In April, we read Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott. In May, we read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. In June, we read Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. In July, we read Wayward by Amelia Hart. In August, we read Babel by R.F. Kwan. In September, we read Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. And in October, we read How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I'm going to try to rank these from least favorite to most favorite. So to start with my least favorite, I'm going to start with A Scatter of Light by Melinda Lowe. And that was so disappointing because I loved Last Night at the Telegraph Club so much when I read it, and I had such high hopes for this. And the writing is good. Like I love the writing in this book. It captivated me the whole time. I was interested. However, I hated all the characters in this book. Like I did not like the relationships that were happening. I did not like the decisions that were being made. This is a messy, messy book. And I didn't like that. Do I understand what the author was going for? Yes. Do I appreciate it? Also yes. Did I enjoy it? No. So this was probably my least favorite of the year. Then I'm also going to go with Wayward by Amelia Hart, just because for how gorgeous this book is. The story was just okay. It didn't work for me as well as I thought it would, which was a little bit of a letdown. It was still, like, I gave this 4 stars. I didn't hate it. It's just not as good as I thought it was going to be. I was not a huge fan of some of the decisions and some of the different storylines. I think the best storyline was the one in the 1600s, and we only got like this much of it. So much of the rest of the book was the other 2 storylines, and I wished for more of that one. So it was fine. It was fine. The German Wife by Kelly Rimmer. I didn't hate this. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was interesting. One of the storylines we're following didn't feel like it fit the story as well. We're going back between these 2 characters. We're following 2 different women, and one of them is set during the Dust Bowl, and I just felt like her backstory just didn't really need to be there. It didn't make sense to the rest of the story. I also felt weird about the main character's storyline, in that they were Nazis, they made some really poor choices, and then acted like, oh, but we had no choice, and you did. So, I don't know, this book gave me weird feelings, and so I didn't love it. Now we're going to talk about the ones that I liked, but were just fine. Next, I want to talk about Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. This was an okay book for me as well, which is disappointing because I thought this was going to be like one of my favorite books of the year. I had such good feelings going in, and I didn't hate it. I mean, I gave this like 4.5 stars, I think. I enjoyed it. It's just not what I thought it would be. Not the Medusa story I thought I was going to be getting. I feel like Medusa was almost a side character in this story, even though it's about her, which was a little weird, but I still liked it. Like, again, 4.5 stars. The writing was great. It's just not what I thought it would be. Then I would say Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, which I really liked upon reading it. I think I gave this 5 stars, but I haven't really found myself thinking about this book at all since then, and usually when I give a book 5 stars, it kind of lingers for a while, and this one didn't linger as much as I thought it would. I think some of the characters in this can be really unlikable, I think some of the relationships in here were a little bit hard to read about, but I overall liked it. It's just, I don't know, sometimes a book hits you a certain way when you're reading it, and then afterward it kind of just dissipates very quickly, and that's what I got from this one. Okay, so now I'm left with my favorites. These are all, but I don't know if I can pick just one of these. I think I have a top 2, maybe a top 3. So let's do that. I'm going to say my next book would be Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez, which was so good. This was excellent. This is a story about African American women and reproductive rights and the things that were done to them in the name of reproductive rights when it wasn't really their choice. I think it's a powerful book and it's an important one, and I think this is one of our best discussions that we had this year. I want to say How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, and the only reason I'm putting this one after this one is because this book made me cry and this one didn't. Whenever a book makes me cry, I push it up my list. That's a book that I'm going to think on for a long time. And this was so fun to read, but also so sad. This is a story about siblings. This is a story about grief. This is a story about ghosts and family trauma and generational trauma. And it was really well done. I don't know. I was impressed by this. I think this might be one of my favorite Grady Hendrix books. I've read, I think, all of his books at this point, and this one's up there for me with My Best Friend's Exorcism as some of his best work. Then I'm going to go with Babel by R.F. Kuang. This book was so excellent. This has really made me want to read more dark academia. It's a genre that I've only kind of dabbled in, but this book really makes me want to pick up more in that genre. I found this to be just really well done, really thought-provoking, really interesting conversations about revolution, about colonization, about how we use other people and other people that we believe we're better than, or something like, I feel like there's so much to talk about with this book. Another really great discussion. Yeah, I just feel like this one's really interesting. I almost think I want to read this aloud with my youngest at some point. I feel like it would make a really impactful read aloud. Then my top 2. I don't know which one is better. I loved these both so much. These were both 2 of my favorite books I read this whole year. And I don't know how to decide which goes in which one's better. I can't choose. So I'm going to say Thistlefoot. Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott was one of my favorite books I read this year. Again, much crying, so many tears. This is a story, again, about generational trauma and Jewish trauma and siblings. There's a lot of connections that one could make between these 2 books. There's a lot of similarities, but I think this is the more literary of the 2, and it was done so beautifully. This is essentially a Baba Yaga story, but it's also a story, like I said, about generational trauma, about these siblings that inherit a house with chicken legs, and they decide to make it into a puppet theater and go on the road, and there's somebody coming for the house. I don't really want to go into it in more detail because I feel like that would take away from the reading experience, but just know that this starts off as kind of a fun story, and it's gonna break your heart into a million pieces. And this is a book that's I'm gonna sit with for a very long time. I've almost gone back to reread some sections of it, but I didn't want to because I think it'll hurt too much. But this is another one that I definitely want to reread. I think it would, again, make a really great read aloud. The audiobook is excellent, by the way. I highly recommend it. The audiobook was very well done. And then my other favorite of the year is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. This book, I haven't cried this hard over a book since The Book Thief. Like, it's so beautiful. Ugh. This is a story about death and what it means to be alive and what we do with our lives and how we accept our fate and move on and how we find ourselves. This was so beautiful. Like, I can't even talk about it without just getting emotional, but this is just, ugh. TJ Klune, man, he writes books that you just want to live inside of and that you want to never end. And he writes these like really heartwarming stories that can sometimes hurt you a little bit. This one is just, it's beautiful. And I now want to read everything TJ Klune has ever written. And he's a new favorite author for me. And I've only read 2 of his books, so I hesitate to call him a favorite author, but I mean, both the books that I've read have been 5 stars that I've gushed over quite a lot. So I feel like I can pretty confidently say he's a new favorite. So I feel like we had a really good reading year this year. I started the year not really knowing how it was going to go because I knew my book club partner, not really my partner, like Sarah never really signed on to be my book club partner, though she did invest time in doing book club with me many, many months, but she moved away and I didn't know what to do with myself. I ran the book club alone this year and it was hard to do it on my own, but next year I won't be doing it on my own again because I decided that I wanted someone to do this with me. I feel like it works so much better when I have somebody to talk to like discuss things with. I don't know. I feel like it almost needs a partner. So I'm excited to announce that Tanya from Project Happy Home is going to be my co-host next year for the Arrrgh Book Club. She is amazing. If you haven't been watching her channel, I highly recommend checking it out. She has a ton of videos about homeschooling. Her channel is just a treasure trove. So I highly recommend checking that out. But Tanya's great. She and I have been friends for years online. I just think she's going to bring so much to book club that I'm really excited about next year. I'm really looking forward to having a co-host. I can't wait to announce what we'll be reading for the first 3 months. I'll be posting that video in December so that you guys can get your books lined up and get ready for a new year of reading together. So I'm excited. I can't wait. And I hope you're just as excited as I am. So let me know down below in the comments, what was your favorite book that we read together this year? I would love to know. I hope you enjoyed this video. Happy reading. Bye.